welcome. Yes, tonight is an extended educational session, really, where I would like to hold the space to discuss mentoring with a focus on the benefits. One of the catalysts to this really was talking to John Sherber a few months ago, because I had thought, well, to do mentoring, we really need a lot of experienced long-term Toastmasters to be available. And sometimes they're just not available to mentor, time constraints or whatever. And I felt a little stuck. John said, well, have you ever thought about mid-range Toastmasters helping the new ones? And that was a big paradigm shift for me. It opened up lots of possibilities. So then I talked to my education committee, which consists of Tara and Julia. We had a meeting about some of the possibilities, what we'd like to achieve. And Tara, although she's a new member of the club, I think all of us have seen how much potential she has. So I asked her if she would like to lead this project. Despite the fact that she has a new job that started at the beginning of January, she bravely said yes. So I'm looking forward to sharing more about mentoring with you, but also giving a big shout out to both Tara and Julia for all the work they've already done on this new mentoring program. A few months ago, Rich gave us a speech as part of his introduction to mentoring, level 2 in pathways, and we all loved it so much. Some of you haven't heard it yet. Those of you who have heard it, I think, like I will, be very happy to hear it again. It's an amazing speech. He will not be evaluated tonight. I'm calling him a keynote speaker. The speech is called Jamie's Lessons. When he first started selling formal menswear, Rich thought his job simply entailed making men look good on the outside. But after meeting his first mentor, he realized it ran much deeper than that. Please help me welcome Rich Whitwell and Jamie's Lessons. Jamie's Lessons, Rich Whitwell.
I've now worked for 9 sales and marketing organizations, but my very first sales job was selling men's formal wear. I remember the day I started well, because only 2 days later, a wardrobe consultant, as we were called, named Jamie, set the store record for a single one-time sale. The sale was impressive, consisting of dozens of articles of clothing, totaling over $12,000. At that time, the average sale was $140. Not only that, the customer came into the store originally looking to buy a belt. In the world of commission sales, it is generally agreed upon that there are different categories of performers. At the very top, you have that elusive 1%. Jamie was a member of that category, and fortunately for me, he was my first mentor. Madame Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our most welcome guest. Watching Andy at work was like watching a magician. There were so many times when it was difficult to fully comprehend how he did what he did. But thinking back, I'm able to take away 3 key lessons that I learned from being his protege. Lesson number 1, always try to see the beauty in everyone. Lesson number 2, never take things personally. And lesson number 3, always make it your main objective to help people reach their goals. When I think about these 3 lessons, a story comes to mind that demonstrates them well. A number of years ago, a man named Jim came into the clothing store. He was tall, in his early 40s. His shoulders and back were slouched over a bit, and he seemed to have somewhat of a pale complexion to his face. And to the excitement of the manager on duty, he seemed in desperate need of a new wardrobe. That was when Jamie approached Jim for the first time. 2 hours later, Jim left the store with 3 new suits in hand. Now, that wasn't unusual, but something had changed about Jim. His posture now was upright. His face had a newfound glow, to it. Confidence seemed to radiate from Jim. He seemed like a different person. The first lesson I learned from Jamie: always try to see the beauty in everyone. Jamie would regularly be found around the store quoting the poet Rumi, who said, "In every person there is a sun." And he would make it his personal mission to make sure that sun shone as bright as possible in every interaction he found himself in. He even had an expression for it. He would call it bringing out a person's star player. Even though Jamie worked at a store where he sold formal menswear, he never actually believed he sold a single article of clothing. Why? Because he was too busy selling people to themselves. Now, it'd be nice if I could leave on that high note, but an unexpected event occurred soon after. 2 days after Jim left the store, his wife, Suzanne, came back with the same 3 suits in hand. She was demanding to speak with a salesperson that dealt with her husband earlier on in the week. See, Jim was supposed to go out and buy one cheap suit that he could wear at an upcoming job interview. Instead, he arrived at home with 3 Armanis. The only way Suzanne could explain this transgression was if some manipulative salesperson had corrupted her husband's good judgment. As soon as she saw Jamie, she went up to him and yelled at him for what seemed like an eternity to anybody watching. She called him all sorts of names. She even insulted the way he dressed. Possibly the worst insult you could give to a wardrobe consultant. But during all of this, Jamie didn't say a word. He was as still and calm as a Tibetan monk. And once Suzanne finished, he simply thanked her and asked if they could go sit to discuss further. A half an hour later, Suzanne got up and into Jamie's face once again, but this time she followed it up with a hug. She then turned around, picked up the 3 suits, thanked Jamie, and left. When I asked Jamie what he did to calm Suzanne down, he just looked at me and said she didn't need to be calmed down. She needed to be heard. The second lesson I took away from working with Jamie: never take things personally. Even in an extreme situation where someone was verbally attacking him, he always created a narrative for why the person was angry or rude that had nothing to do with him, and that was probably rooted in some kind of uncovered pain or problem. And for him, all he wanted to do was help solve those problems. Even though Jamie worked in a store where sometimes these incidents would occur, he never, ever took things personally. Why? Because he was too busy listening with the intent to understand. 2 months after Jim purchased his first 3 suits, he came back to the store to purchase 3 more. When I talked to Jamie last year about this story, he told me that Jim continued going back to the store twice a year, every year, until recently when Jamie left the company. For Jamie, a sale as a quick one-time transaction never made any sense. He measured his success in sales by the number of years his customers would continue going back to him to seek out his services. The third lesson I took away from working with Jamie: never make it about the sale. The main objective should always be helping people reach their goals. Even after Jamie set the store record for a one-time sale, it was as if he never cared. If no one was around, he probably wouldn't have said anything about it. Jamie technically worked in a sales role, but he never thought of himself as making a sale. Why? Because he was too busy helping people reach their goals and, in effect, creating lifelong customers. I feel fortunate that Jamie was my first mentor. There's so many books and resources out there teaching you how to sell as far as tactics and strategies go. But Jamie shared his wisdom with me. I was able to then take that wisdom and contextualize all those strategies and tactics, and then use them in other areas of my life as well. Those 3 lessons that I learned from Jamie: 1, always try and find the beauty in everyone. 2, never take things personally. And 3, make your main objective to help people reach their goals. Back to you, Madame Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Rich. I enjoyed that speech the second time as much as the first time. We're not going to take any time to send Rich feedback, but if you would like to email him after the meeting, you're welcome to do that if you have any comments for him. I'm going to call on the timer now. We have some complicated timing ahead. So Garth, could you explain for the rest of the first half of the meeting, please, how you're going to time the interview and the shares by the mentors and mentees, please?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. According to the agenda, I'm just going to follow the times that are listed on the right-hand side. As an example, for the 3-minute presentations, the green will go on. At 1 minute, at 2 minutes, the yellow will go on. At 3 minutes, red will go on. 30 seconds later, the psychedelic will go on. For the table topics,
Garth, could you explain that after the break, please? So it's fresh in
Okay.
everybody's mind. And for the interview, the 5-minute interview that I'm doing with Tara and Julie, how are you going to time that, please?
it'll be 2, 3, and 4. No, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks very much. All right. So what I'd like to do next is something a little bit different again from a normal Toastmasters meeting. I'm going to do an interview with Tara and Julia. We have not rehearsed this. I told them I wouldn't throw them any curveballs, but it's an opportunity for them to think on their feet and for me to practice active listening and for all of you to learn a lot. So Tara and Julia, my first question for you is, what will some of the benefits be for the club with the new mentoring program? Let's start with Tara. What do you have to say about that?
Thank you, Madame Toastmaster. Hello, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests tonight. The benefits for the club, I can say there are many. I don't know if I'll touch on all of them, but one way I like to think of mentors is, I think Lynn mentioned this, as a catalyst. And for those that have science minds, kind of like an enzyme. So for the mentee, they speed up their learning, their development, and help them reach their goals faster. And a mentorship does not have to just be a senior member, as Lynn said, with a newer member. It can be a senior member mentoring another senior member. So anyone who wants to learn new skills, whether that be engaging the audience or learning how to incorporate humor, you can find someone in our club and have them mentor you and receive a lot of benefits from that. Not only just developing our goals and growing in that sense, mentoring relationships also create a sense of community in the club. Especially with this Zoom online learning environment, I find it very difficult to just have a casual conversation and get to know each other better. So I'm really excited for this mentorship program because of the opportunities it will create for just getting to know each other better. And by knowing each other better, I think people will be more comfortable in meetings because it creates a safe space when you know people and know people that want the best for you and want to see you succeed.
Hey, Tara, a couple of the main points that I take away from that is that it really fast tracks new members. So they could go through the program without a mentor and get a lot of value from it. But with a mentor, it's more focused and I think they move more quickly. And I totally agree about the relationship building. I think that's part of the club culture for Thunderbird is we are very relational here and we do have a strong community. So that really supports that. Julia, what are your thoughts about the benefits for the club?
Sure. Thank you for this interview opportunity, Lynn. Tara mentioned a lot of wonderful points, and I might add that at Thunderbird, we're a high functioning club that comes with a lot of information. it just makes sense to have a person to review things with you. A mentor can help you with advice on how to perform a role, speech preparation and feedback, as well as those other aspects of Toastmasters, like how to navigate pathways or how to send an email to the club. Having a person to guide you to where to get information, I think can really make all the difference.
Thank you, Julia. I think that's so true. I've been to clubs where basically people don't have any resources unless they go to TI and dig through that. With our club, it's the opposite. So much information. I know with the new member orientation, so much information in an hour, people are often shell-shocked. So as Julia mentioned, having somebody to help you find those resources you need, very helpful. So thank you, Julia and Tara. And my next question is, what made you want to get involved in this? Let's start with Julia this time.
Sure. I mean, personally, for personal reasons, I got involved because I just like to be involved in this stuff. I like to make things and to organize things. So this, I felt, allowed me to use those skills. But I also just think it's really important to have this type of mentorship program where you can just kind of have a person to talk to about stuff. Over the years here at Thunderbird, I've been kind of informally mentored by a lot of members in the club, like Lynn and John and Karen and Keith and Garth, and the list goes on. So just having a person to talk to about how a meeting went or other ways you can weave in the skills you learn at Toastmasters, perhaps into those other aspects of your life, like at work or just in life, I think is really, really helpful to take your communication to that next level.
Thank you, Julia. And Tara, what made you want to get involved in this project?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Lynn. Well, I personally, Lynn mentored me or helped a lot, and just hearing other encouragement from other members via the chat and such, just the encouragement I got from other people and showing me that I wasn't alone was really important for me to feel confident in the club and stay in the club, because I felt like people really cared and wanted to see me succeed. So knowing that mentorship as a way of reaching out and supporting someone works was kind of like a no-brainer. I wanted to be a part of it, and to also just be the mentor manager is exciting in terms of leadership skills and seeing where that goes, because I haven't always thought of myself as a leader in that way, and it's this exciting new prospect.
Thank you so much, Tara. And thank you to both of you, Julia and Tara. Our time is up now. Thank you for helping us understand more about the benefits to the club and why you got involved in this in the first place. Our next section starts with benefits of being a mentor. John is going to start with that. I am going to follow, and then we will have two club members who've been mentees share the benefits of being mentees. So I'd like to invite John to the virtual lectern to share about the benefits of being a mentor from his perspective.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and of course our guests. And listening to Rich speak tonight, I'm envious. I don't think I've ever had a mentor-mentee relationship like that. And I'm going to slide off to the side a little bit. I know, Lynn, that you want the positive about it, but there is a lot of things that goes on in a mentee-mentor relationship. And that's what it is. It's a relationship. There's two people in a working relationship that develops over time. And the benefits are only the result of the effort and energy put in. So for me, responsibility becomes a huge part of what happens when you have two people working together. As Tara has said tonight, trying to get to know people on Zoom, even if it's a one-to-one on Zoom, is a real challenge. So there needs to be open communication, that you ensure that you understand that when are we meeting yet? the probability of setting goals and then being able to check in over an X period of time and be able to ensure that you're holding each other to account. And I get to ride with a gentleman who's been a coach for years, and that's what he is constantly reinforcing in me. And so that becomes a mentor-mentee relationship, even though that has never been defined that way. I found that as you work together to become better communicators, you have to become a better listener. You have to expose yourself to new and different perspectives. You have to have the ability to see in yourself that you are paying it forward. And that's been mentioned tonight. Why do I do this? Because there's something in it for me, but there's also the opportunity to feel what another individual feels when they move along that path and you have walked it with them. So I'd like you to, in closing, remember that mentorship is a mentor and a mentee. Responsibility and relationships and communication are the keystones that will create an environment that you will both learn. And Rich, I will go looking for that mentor in my life. And please, gosh, bring it to me, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, John, for sharing your thoughts about some of the key points in the mentor-mentee relationship. What I'm going to do with mine is I am going to divide it into two sections. One is being of service, and the other one is benefits that I receive from being a mentor. So being of service, if you've ever been to a foreign country, wouldn't it be nice to have somebody with you who spoke the language and understood the customs? Reminded me of that when I first came to Thunderbird in 2013, and all these people were doing different roles and there were acronyms I didn't understand. It was like a foreign country to me, and I imagine for most people who join, who are probably nervous when they first come, it's pretty overwhelming. So having somebody who can help to create order from confusion, that's one of the things that I see in my mentor relationship, is just helping, as Julie mentioned, helping people find the resources that they need, helping them with speech preparation, role preparation, and a debrief after somebody does a role to say, so what do you think worked well there? What would you do differently next time? And collaborating with them so they can learn and grow. When I started, it was, of course, in-person meetings, and we had handbooks from the old program. On top of all that, now we have pathways and we have Zoom meetings. So there are many things for a new Toastmaster to learn. Somebody who's been in the club for a little while is familiar with many of these things and can help somebody who is new to the club. And seeing the progress and the confidence that my mentees have made over the years makes it all worth it. It's really noticeable how much progress is made. Having a mentor really speeds things up, as we've talked about. My personal benefits for me is, as Tara mentioned, about relationship building. We had somebody who was here from China a number of years ago. I helped her with her icebreaker. She went back to China. We've kept in touch for years now. She sends me recordings of her speeches. She has won speech contests. She is a club officer, and knowing, just planting the seed in short time that we work together, so gratifying. In addition to helping people with Toastmasters progress, we've built relationships where people ask me for references, for jobs, for accommodations. So it's that kind of thing that even when they're not in the club anymore, those relationships endure. I learned a lot from my mentees. One of the things I learned is remembering that the focus is on their goals, not on my agenda. So I ask them, look, do you want the gold, silver, or bronze model of mentoring? The bronze would be the basics. The gold would be, I'll tell you everything I think. People usually choose the gold, but I like to give them the choice of how deep they want to go. Being a mentor has been so valuable for me in helping other people in the club, learning about leadership, seeing progress, really feeling like I'm making a contribution to people's lives. And I would just say, if you're thinking that you might like to mentor, I strongly, strongly suggest that you give it a try. Even if you haven't been in the club for 20 years, you will still be able to help somebody who is less experienced than you. And there are so many benefits. All right, so now you've heard from the mentors. Let's get into the mentees. And we're going to hear from Tom first about some of the benefits that he has found in being mentored. Tom.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guest. I have received tremendous support from my mentor. I believe there are many benefits of being a mentee. Firstly, having a mentor helped me to have a smooth start. I joined Toastmaster in last November, and it is my first time to join a Toastmaster. It is totally a new world to me. Having a mentor to guide me through the program and help me, and especially help me choose the right pathway based on my goal and my speaking experience, that is very helpful and useful. My mentor is so patient and to explain the benefit of each pathway, so I know which one is right for me, so I can reach my goal more effectively and more efficiently. Having a mentor also allows me to learn from one of the most experienced speakers in the club, so to prepare the speaking roles and the speech. At last, having a mentor allowed me to improve my weakness specifically. I had trouble in answering question in table topic. My mentor especially set up a table topic night that he taught me the strategy, the structure, how to answer a contest question, so I can grow and learn more efficiently. Thank you for this mentorship program and my mentor, so I can learn from experienced speaker and tackle my weakness, so I can learn and reach my goal more efficiently and effectively. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tom. So useful to understand what it's like from a mentee's point of view, as well as from a mentor's point of view. Now I'd like to invite our club president, Aki Oda, to share with us what her experience of being a mentee has been like.
Absolutely, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest. I have been a mentee for the first 3 months when joining the Thunderbird. My mentor is named Rick. He is a gigantic man who's retired. Also, he has a big heart. As a new immigrant speaking second languages, the biggest benefit I gained from this experience was receiving the constant reassurance that I have been on the right path. Preparing for the roles, preparing for the speeches, everything was nerve-wracking. I was constantly having the fear on the back of my head that what if I screw up my roles and ruin my meetings, embarrassing myself. He was always available, answering my questions. He also pulled me out to the next door, allowing me to deliver the mock speech before the official spots came out. Our short-term goal was getting myself to be comfortable preparing for the speeches and roles, and the objective was successfully met, thanks to Rick. One thing I regret was for not extending this project for the long term, because my mentorship was ended within 3 months. If I could have done differently, I would take some time to get to know with him better and continue working for the long term. I've been a Toastmasters for the 4 years, and my Toastmasters needs has been constantly changing. With my new job, another skill is required to be more assertive and different types of communication skills, so as leadership skills. My motivation level could be ups and downs due to COVID. And if I had a mentor who's been checking on with me and checking on my progress as to the communicators and the leader as a leader, that would be definitely helpful to be in a Toastmasters journey for the upcoming future. In summary, my experience with my mentor in a short time was absolutely positive. But if it's done differently, I would love to continue working on for the long term as a mentor or possibly mentee again. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Aki. I appreciate how you've highlighted what you learned from Rick back in the day. And I'm sure that Tara and Julia would agree that if anybody in the club wants to mentor or be mentee, either fill out the survey if you haven't done already, or contact them directly and put your name forward, because there are still spots available. 7:35 now. I'd like to meet again at 7:40 sharp. Mr. Timer, could you give us a 1-minute warning at 7:39, please? Everybody can have a break and we will see you shortly.
Just testing the microphone. Anyone is listening?
Yes.